The conference chamber aboard the Galactic Concordance Central Hub hummed with a subtle tension that most species fail to detect. Humans, however, were particularly adept at reading the microscopic signs of diplomatic unease. Dr. Aria Chen stood at the periphery of the massive circular room, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays and the assembled alien delegations with a calculated precision. Humanity's reputation preceded them. Every species in the chamber knew the stories of Earth, a planet so hostile that its native life had evolved to become nothing short of miraculous. Humans had emerged from a world of volcanic eruptions, massive predators, extreme weather conditions, and constant environmental challenges. Where other species might have collapsed, humanity had not just survived but thrived. The current session focused on resource allocation in the outer spiral arm of the Milky Way. Delegates from 17 different civilizations sat in their customized environmental zones. The Krillian representatives, with their crystalline exoskeletons, maintained a temperature near absolute zero. Beside them, the gaseous form of the Nebula Collective shimmered like an ethereal cloud. The silicon-based lithosphere ambassadors appeared as intricate geometric structures that slowly rotated and reconfigured. Humanity's delegation consisted of just 3 representatives. Where other species brought enormous entourages and complex support systems, the humans arrived with a minimalist approach that spoke volumes about their efficiency. Ambassador Michael Rodriguez approached the central communication platform. His movements were deliberate, balanced, a remnant of humanity's evolutionary history, where every motion could mean survival or death. The holographic systems adjusted automatically to his presence, a testament to the advanced adaptive technologies humans had developed. Representatives of the Galactic Concordance. Rodriguez began, his voice carrying a neutrality that masked layers of strategic intent. We come to discuss the resource allocation proposal for the Kepler 452 sector. The sector in question contained a series of resource-rich star systems that had become a point of increasing tension. Multiple species had submitted claims, each more complex and bureaucratically intricate than the last, except for humanity's proposal, which was refreshingly straightforward. Dr. Chen watched carefully. She understood that this meeting was about far more than resource allocation. It was a subtle dance of power, of potential, of unspoken capabilities. Humans had learned long ago that true strength was not about immediate display but about potential, the capacity to adapt, to respond, to transform. The Zornak representative, a being composed of interconnected neural networks that resembled a 3-dimensional fractal, responded first. Its communication was a complex series of mathematical patterns that translated into language. The human proposal presents interesting considerations. Interesting was a deliberate choice of word. In the nuanced language of galactic diplomacy, it meant something between skepticism and reluctant acknowledgement. Rodriguez didn't flinch. He had spent years studying the communication patterns of every species in the Concordance. Where others saw a simple diplomatic exchange, he saw an intricate chess match where every word, every pause, every subtle gesture carried multiple layers of meaning. The human proposal was remarkable in its simplicity. Unlike other submissions that ran thousands of pages and included complex legal frameworks, the human document was barely 20 pages long. It outlined a collaborative approach to resource extraction that would benefit multiple species while maintaining strict environmental preservation protocols. What the other species didn't realize was the extensive research behind those 20 pages. Months of advanced simulation, quantum computational analysis, and ecological modeling had been compressed into a document that appeared deceptively simple. Dr. Chen allowed herself the slightest smile. The other species were about to learn, yet again, that humanity was anything but predictable. The systematic dismantling of human interests began with whispers and subtle manipulations. Each individual action seemed almost inconsequential. A delayed trade permit here, a redirected research grant there, minor bureaucratic obstacles that would have broken lesser species. Commander Elena Rodriguez studied the latest set of communication logs in her private office aboard the Terran diplomatic vessel Horizon. The ship itself was a marvel of engineering, its adaptive hull capable of transforming to meet the most demanding environmental challenges. But today, its most potent weapon was information. "Show me the pattern," she muttered to the ship's advanced artificial intelligence system. Holographic displays erupted around her, transforming the enclosed space into a three-dimensional map of galactic diplomatic interactions. Thin crimson lines began to connect various diplomatic obstacles, revealing the subtle but unmistakable pattern of systematic suppression. The Zornak Collective had become particularly adept at these subtle manipulations. Their neural network-based diplomacy allowed them to process thousands of simultaneous interactions, each one designed to incrementally reduce humanity's galactic influence. A research expedition to the Andromeda Reach found its exploration permits mysteriously delayed. The Advanced Material Sciences Consortium in the Europa Research Station discovered their funding had been quietly rerouted through a series of complex financial channels. A planned cultural exchange with the Lithosphere Collective was canceled without explanation. Individually, these events meant little. Collectively, they represented a calculated effort to marginalize humanity. Dr. Area Chen's database grew more comprehensive with each passing day. What had begun as an academic exercise had transformed into a critical intelligence-gathering project. She understood that information was the most potent weapon in any conflict, especially a conflict that had not yet been formally acknowledged. The quantum communication network hummed with carefully encrypted messages. Human researchers on distant colony worlds shared their experiences, each report adding another piece to the growing puzzle. They were collecting evidence, building a case that went far beyond simple diplomatic disagreement. On Mars, the primary colonial research hub, a team of xenopolitical analysts worked around the clock. They used advanced predictive algorithms to map out potential future scenarios. Each simulation revealed the same fundamental truth: the current trajectory was unsustainable. Commander Rodriguez zoomed in on a particular set of diplomatic communications. The language was subtle, almost elegant in its complexity. The Zornak didn't just block human interests. They did so in a way that made each obstacle seem like a natural bureaucratic occurrence. A communication from the Galactic Resource Allocation Committee caught her attention. The document was a masterpiece of linguistic misdirection. On the surface, it appeared to be a standard regulatory document. Beneath the carefully constructed sentences lay a series of clauses that would effectively prevent human expansion into 3 critical star systems. "Impressive," Rodriguez muttered, "but not impenetrable." The ship's AI, sensing her thought process, began running a series of computational analyses. Quantum processors worked through millions of potential response scenarios, each one mapped against known diplomatic protocols and potential counter-strategies. What the other species failed to understand was humanity's fundamental nature. They saw humans as a young, impulsive species, prone to emotional responses and easy to manipulate. They did not realize that humanity's true strength lay in patience, in the ability to absorb pressure and respond with calculated precision. The systematic erosion was happening, but humanity was far from defeated. In fact, they were preparing. The Terran Xenopolitical Research Institute occupied a remarkable facility on the lunar surface. Constructed from adaptive metamaterials, the building seemed to breathe and shift with the subtle environmental changes, a testament to human engineering prowess. Inside, Dr. Area Chen had transformed an entire wing into a complex intelligence-gathering operation that would have impressed even the most sophisticated galactic spy networks. Her database was more than a simple collection of documents. It was a living, breathing system of interconnected information, powered by quantum computing networks that could analyze diplomatic interactions with near-prescient accuracy. Each diplomatic slight, each bureaucratic obstruction was meticulously cataloged, cross-referenced, and analyzed from multiple perspectives. Chen stood before a massive holographic display, her fingers dancing across translucent interfaces. Floating before her was a 3-dimensional representation of humanity's diplomatic challenges, each interaction mapped as a delicate web of interconnected nodes. Red threads represented direct obstacles, while more subtle blue lines showed the nuanced psychological manipulations employed by various alien civilizations. "Show me the Zornak interaction patterns," she commanded. The hologram shifted, revealing a complex neural network of diplomatic interactions. The Zornak's approach was brilliant in its complexity. They didn't just block human interests. They created elaborate illusions of opportunity that ultimately led nowhere. Each diplomatic channel was a carefully constructed maze designed to exhaust human resources and patience. A junior researcher approached, holding a data tablet. "Dr. Chen, we've completed the analysis of the Kepler 452 sector resource allocation documents." Chen's eyes narrowed. The documents in question represented a perfect example of the systematic erosion humanity was experiencing. What appeared to be a standard resource allocation proposal was actually a masterfully crafted piece of diplomatic obstruction. She began to dictate her findings. The Zornak proposal creates 17 nested administrative checkpoints that would effectively prevent human access to the sector. Each checkpoint is designed to appear legitimate, but contains subtle linguistic traps that would require months of legal challenge to navigate. The research team worked with a precision that reflected humanity's evolutionary history. Where other species saw bureaucracy, humans saw a complex system to be understood, mapped, and ultimately overcome. Advanced linguistic analysis algorithms parse through millions of diplomatic communications. Machine learning systems developed by the Institute could detect patterns of manipulation that would escape biological detection. What seemed like random administrative obstacles began to reveal themselves as a coordinated strategy. Chen's personal terminal chimed. A secure communication from the diplomatic corps requested a comprehensive briefing. She understood the unspoken message. Humanity was preparing something significant. The database grew more comprehensive with each passing hour. It was more than a simple record of slights. It was a strategic weapon, a map of galactic political manipulation that would eventually become humanity's most potent tool of diplomacy. A holographic projection of Earth hung in the background of the research facility. The planet seemed to watch, a reminder of the world that had produced a species capable of turning systematic oppression into an opportunity for strategic response. "We're not just documenting," Chen muttered to herself. "We're building a case." The junior researcher looked up, catching the subtle determination in her voice. Humanity had always been patient, but patience was not infinite, and the other species of the galaxy were about to learn the difference between being nice and being strategic. Each diplomatic slight was a thread, and Dr. Arya Chen was meticulously weaving those threads into a tapestry of calculated response. Deep beneath the Martian research complex, Dr. Marcus Reyes walked through a corridor that seemed to breathe with technological potential. The Quantum Computing Center represented humanity's most advanced technological sanctuary, a place where innovation transcended traditional scientific boundaries. Holographic interfaces danced around him, displaying complex simulations that morphed and recalculated in real time. Each projection represented a potential galactic scenario, analyzed with a depth and breadth that would frighten most alien civilizations. The computational power surrounding Dr. Reyes could process more information in a microsecond than most species could in a standard galactic cycle. "Run Scenario Gamma 9, he spoke softly. The holographic display exploded into a complex three-dimensional map. Thousands of potential diplomatic and technological interactions began to unfold simultaneously. Adaptive algorithms developed by the most brilliant human minds worked to predict and counter potential galactic challenges. The center's true genius lay not in raw computational power, but in its adaptive intelligence. Unlike rigid alien technological systems, humanity's approach was fluid, dynamic, almost organic in its ability to learn and transform. Each simulation was not just a prediction, but a living strategy that could modify itself in real time. Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined Reyes, her diplomatic background providing a critical perspective to the technological preparations. "How are the quantum communication networks progressing?" she asked. Reyes pulled up a series of intricate diagrams. The communication network they were developing was revolutionary. Traditional faster-than-light communication relied on fixed transmission methods. Humanity was creating something entirely different, an adaptive communication system that could modify its own transmission parameters instantaneously. We're developing quantum entanglement communication that can't be intercepted or blocked by traditional means, Rise explained. Each transmission creates its own unique encryption framework that dissolves immediately after use. The military research teams worked in perfect synchronization with scientific and diplomatic branches. On orbital research stations, prototype technologies were being developed that blurred the lines between defensive systems and communication platforms. A satellite could transform from a research instrument to a communication relay to a sophisticated defensive node in milliseconds. Another section of the complex focused on adaptive materials science. Researchers had developed metamaterials that could change their fundamental properties in response to environmental challenges. A single material could shift from a rigid defensive shield to a flexible communication conduit without any external manipulation. Dr. Rodriguez studied a projection of potential galactic conflict scenarios. The human approach was fundamentally different from other species. Where alien civilizations saw technology as a static tool, humans viewed it as a living, breathing ecosystem of potential. "The Zornak think they're blocking our progress," she murmured. "They have no idea we're 3 steps ahead." The Quantum Computing Center was more than a research facility. It was humanity's strategic insurance policy. Each simulation, each technological breakthrough, was a potential solution to challenges that hadn't even emerged yet. A junior researcher approached with a data tablet. "Dr. Rice, the latest adaptive AI models have completed their galactic interaction simulations." The results were displayed on the massive holographic interface. Thousands of potential scenarios played out simultaneously, each one demonstrating humanity's capacity for rapid technological adaptation. The simulation showed not just defensive capabilities, but intricate ways of navigating complex diplomatic and technological challenges. Marcus Reyes allowed himself a slight smile. The other species of the galaxy believed they understood human potential. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. Outside the research complex, Mars continued its slow transformation. Humanity was doing more than preparing for potential conflict. They were reimagining the very nature of technological possibility. The Helios 7 asteroid mining station hung in the silent void of the belt, a testament to human engineering and resource management. Constructed from adaptive metamaterials, the station appeared deceptively simple, a trait that would prove critically misleading to the approaching Zornak vessel. Commander Elena Rodriguez watched the tactical display from the remote command center on Luna. Her team had been preparing for this moment, though few outside their inner circle understood the true depth of their readiness. The Zornak vessel emerged from subspace with calculated precision. Its neural network-based targeting systems had identified the asteroid station as a vulnerable point of human infrastructure. What the alien commanders didn't realize was that vulnerability was entirely an illusion. Incoming vessel approaching designated exclusion zone, the station's AI announced in a calm, almost disinterested tone. The first communication came as expected, a complex mathematical pattern demanding immediate resource surrender and station evacuation. Standard Zornak protocol suggested most species would hesitate, negotiate, potentially capitulate. Humanity would do none of those things. Station Commander David Chen stood on the primary observation deck. Unlike military commanders from other species, he displayed an unsettling calm. Years of training and preparation had transformed human leadership into something far beyond traditional military thinking. "Activate Adaptive Response Protocol," Chen spoke softly. The station itself began to transform. What appeared to be standard mining infrastructure revealed layers of sophisticated defensive capabilities. Metamaterial sections shifted, revealing sensor arrays that could track subatomic particles. Communication nodes reconfigured, creating a multi-layered defensive network that would make traditional targeting impossible. The Zornak vessel fired its initial probing energy burst. Standard galactic engagement protocols suggested this would disable most station defenses. Instead, the energy dissipated across an adaptive shield that not only absorbed the attack, but began to analyze its fundamental composition. "Interesting," muttered the station's eye. "Weapon signature cataloged and neutralization parameters established." Commander Rodriguez watched the tactical display with clinical precision. This was more than a defensive action. It was a comprehensive demonstration of human technological capability. The Zornak vessel attempted a second approach, launching a series of precision-targeted disruption drones. Each drone represented the pinnacle of alien technological design. Adaptive, intelligent, capable of modifying its approach in microseconds. The asteroid station's defensive systems didn't just intercept the drones. They captured them, analyzed their entire operational framework, and began to generate counter-protocols in real time. Within moments, the Zornak's most advanced technological assets became nothing more than inert pieces of complex machinery. On the command deck, Commander Chen allowed himself the slightest smile. "Transmission prepared," he said. A single, precisely crafted communication burst emerged from the station. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a comprehensive technical analysis of the Zornak vessel's capabilities, weakness, and the fundamental flaws in their attack strategy. The message was clear. Humanity was not just defending. They were comprehensively dismantling the very concept of the attack. The Zornak vessel began to retreat. Its neural network was experiencing something unprecedented. A complete strategic reassessment driven by data it could not fully comprehend. Back on Luna, Commander Rodriguez updated her report. This was not about demonstrating military might. This was about sending a message that would resonate across the galaxy. Humanity was done being underestimated. The asteroid mining station continued its operations, as if nothing remarkable had occurred. But everything had changed. The Galactic communication network hummed with unprecedented activity. Information traveled faster than light, but never faster than rumor, especially when that rumor concerned humanity. In the vast communication hubs of a dozen different civilizations, xenosociologists and intelligence analysts worked tirelessly to understand the unprecedented event at the Helios 7 asteroid station. The Zornak vessel's complete neutralization had become the most analyzed incident in recent galactic history. Dr. Krelax of the Lithosphere Collective reviewed the transmitted data for the 200th time. The human response defied every known tactical and technological model. It wasn't just a defensive action. It was a comprehensive demonstration of technological and strategic superiority that challenged fundamental assumptions about emerging species. They didn't just defend. Krelax dictated to his research assistant. They comprehensively dismantled the entire concept of the attack. The communication networks began to shift. Where humanity had once been viewed as a young, potentially manageable species, a new perspective emerged. Intelligence agencies across multiple civilizations began intensive studies of human psychology, technological development, and strategic approaches. On the central communication hub of the Galactic Concordance, diplomatic channels buzzed with unprecedented energy. The human demonstration had exposed critical vulnerabilities in existing galactic power structures. Species that had long believed themselves technologically superior now found themselves questioning every previous assumption. The Krillian Diplomatic Corps commissioned an extensive report. Their crystalline communication arrays processed millions of data points, creating complex models of human potential. What emerged was a profile that both fascinated and terrified galactic leadership. Humans were not just another species to be categorized and managed. They were a fundamental variable that could not be easily predicted or controlled. Dr. Elena Rodriguez received encrypted communications from multiple independent research institutions. They weren't requests for information. They were subtle attempts to understand the fundamental nature of human innovation. Each communication was a delicate probe, testing the boundaries of human willingness to share technological insights. The response was always the same: a precise, carefully crafted communication that revealed nothing while simultaneously demonstrating profound technological understanding. On Earth, the response to this galactic attention was surprisingly measured. The Terran diplomatic corps and scientific community continued their work with the same calculated approach that had brought them to this moment. They understood that reputation was built not through dramatic declarations, but through consistent, strategic action. Intelligence networks began to compile a comprehensive profile of human capabilities. The data revealed a species that was fundamentally different from any previously encountered civilization. Humans demonstrated an adaptive capacity that seemed to defy traditional evolutionary models. The Zornak found themselves in an unprecedented position. Their attempt to marginalize humanity had not just failed, it had backfired spectacularly. Their own communication networks were now filled with complex analyses of the human response, each study more intricate than the last. Dr. Marcus Reyes monitored the global communication patterns from the Martian research complex. They're beginning to understand, he muttered to his research team. Understanding was not capitulation. It was the first step in a new form of galactic interaction. The human approach was becoming clear. They were not interested in conquest. They were not seeking dominance. They were creating a new paradigm of interstellar interaction, one where technological innovation and strategic thinking superseded traditional power structures. Across the galaxy, species began to reassess their approach to humanity. The nice guy persona was gone. In its place stood something far more complex and compelling. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Concordance Central Diplomatic Complex stood as a monument to interstellar negotiation. Its architecture defied traditional understanding, a massive structure that could simultaneously support the environmental needs of 17 different species. Crystal spires twisted into impossible geometries, adaptive surfaces shifting to accommodate diplomatic delegations from across known space. Ambassador Michael Rodriguez arrived precisely 3 standard galactic time units before the scheduled high-level meeting. His preparation was methodical, a reflection of humanity's approach to every challenge. The diplomatic chamber itself was a marvel of engineering. Holographic interfaces allowed for simultaneous translation, environmental adaptation, and multi-dimensional communication. Where other species saw a meeting room, humans saw a complex strategic interface. Representatives from the Zornak Collective entered first. Their neural network-based bodies flickered with intricate communication patterns, a biological technology that had once been considered the pinnacle of galactic communication. They moved with a confidence that was rapidly becoming misplaced. Dr. Aria Chen stood slightly behind Rodriguez, her presence a silent reminder of the comprehensive intelligence gathering that had brought humanity to this moment. Every communication, every diplomatic exchange was part of a larger strategic framework. The Lithosphere Collective's representatives arrived next. Their silicon-based bodies refracted light in complex patterns, a biological display of their technological sophistication. They had been among the first to recognize the fundamental shift in humanity's galactic standing. The Galactic Concordance will now hear the human delegation's response to recent interstellar resource allocation proposals, the central mediator announced. The being was a marvel of genetic engineering, capable of simultaneously communicating with multiple species through complex biochemical signals. Rodriguez stepped forward. His approach was neither aggressive nor submissive, a careful balance that spoke to humanity's evolved diplomatic strategy. Distinguished representatives, he began, we are here to establish a new paradigm of interstellar cooperation. The holographic displays behind him came to life. They weren't traditional presentations. Instead, they were living data ecosystems that demonstrated humanity's approach to resource management, technological development, and interstellar collaboration. Each slide was a complex narrative. Where other species presented static information, humans created dynamic representations that showed potential, adaptation, and collaborative potential. The displays revealed not just what humanity could do, but how they approached problem-solving. The Zornak representatives attempted their traditional communication approach, complex mathematical patterns designed to obfuscate and manipulate. Rodriguez's team had already developed comprehensive translation and analysis protocols. We recognize the complex historical interactions that have shaped our current diplomatic landscape, Rodriguez continued. Our proposal is not about dominance. It is about creating a framework of mutual advancement. Dr. Chen monitored the communication patterns. Each word, each pause was part of a carefully constructed diplomatic strategy. They were doing more than negotiating. They were fundamentally reshaping galactic diplomatic interaction. The lithosphere representatives showed the first signs of genuine interest. Their communication patterns shifted from defensive analysis to collaborative consideration. Humanity was presenting something unprecedented, a genuine opportunity for mutual advancement. Behind the diplomatic facade, multiple intelligence networks worked in real time. The human delegation was simultaneously negotiating, gathering intelligence, and demonstrating technological capabilities. As the meeting progressed, it became clear that this was more than a diplomatic session. It was a fundamental reset of galactic power dynamics. Humanity had arrived, not as a conquest, not as a threat, but as a fundamental new variable in the complex equation of interstellar civilization. The solar system transformed before the galaxy's eyes. What was once a single-planet civilization became a sprawling network of human influence that defied traditional galactic expansion models. Mars had become more than a colony. It was a testament to human adaptability. A world being systematically transformed through advanced terraforming technologies that combined ecological engineering with quantum computational modeling. Massive atmospheric processors worked in concert with subterranean ecosystem development projects, creating a living laboratory of planetary reconstruction. The asteroid belt was no longer just a resource frontier. It had become a complex network of research stations, mining operations, and diplomatic outposts. Each facility represented a node in humanity's expanding galactic infrastructure, adaptive, interconnected, constantly evolving. Dr. Elena Rodriguez oversaw the Solar System Diplomatic Integration Project from her command center on Luna. The facility was a marvel of technological and diplomatic innovation. Where other species saw boundaries, humans saw opportunities for collaboration and growth. The Galactic Concordance official recognition ceremony was more than a formality. It represented a fundamental shift in interstellar dynamics. Representatives from 17 different species gathered to witness humanity's formal inclusion as a major galactic civilization. The ceremony itself was a human innovation. Instead of a traditional diplomatic exchange, the event became an interactive demonstration of human potential. Holographic displays showed real-time projections of ongoing human projects, terraforming initiatives, adaptive technology development, collaborative research programs that invited participation from multiple species. Dr. Marcus Reyes presented a comprehensive overview of human technological capabilities. His presentation was not a boast, but a precise demonstration of collaborative potential. Each technological breakthrough was framed as an opportunity for collective advancement. The Krillian delegation studied the presentation with intense focus. Their crystalline communication arrays processed information at rates that would have overwhelmed most biological systems. What they saw challenged every preconceived notion about emerging civilizations. Humanity's approach was fundamentally different. They weren't seeking dominance or territorial expansion in the traditional sense. Instead, they were creating a new model of interstellar interaction, one based on adaptive collaboration and mutual advancement. The Zornak representatives, once confident in their ability to manipulate and control, now found themselves studying human strategies with a mixture of respect and scientific curiosity. Their neural networks worked overtime, attempting to comprehend a diplomatic and technological approach that defied their traditional models. On Earth, celebrations were subdued. The population understood that this recognition was not an endpoint, but a beginning. Generations of adaptation, of surviving a challenging homeworld, had prepared them for this moment. Orbital research stations became hubs of collaborative innovation. Human scientists worked alongside representatives from multiple species, developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of current scientific understanding. Quantum communication networks, adaptive material sciences, ecological restoration technologies. Each breakthrough was an invitation to collective advancement. The solar system itself became a living demonstration of human potential. From the atmospheric processors of Mars to the research stations in the asteroid belt, every human project was an ecosystem of innovation. Traditional boundaries between military, scientific, and diplomatic endeavors dissolved, replaced by a holistic approach to advancement. Dr. Arya Chen, analyzing the broader implications, recognized the true significance of the moment. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had reimagined the very concept of interstellar civilization. As the official recognition ceremony concluded, it became clear that something fundamental had changed. The galaxy would never view emerging species the same way again. Humanity had not just arrived. They had transformed the very concept of galactic interaction. The nice guy was gone. In his place stood something far more compelling. A civilization that understood that true strength was not about domination, but about potential.